from Mark Anthony Green, best known as a former GQ editor, steps into filmmaking with Opus. And he doesn't just direct, he authors an experience. Drawing from his background in culture and celebrity journalism, Green crafts a story that blurs the line between fame and fanaticism, truth and performance. The film plays like a pop noir fever dream, anchored by his eye for detail and narrative control. As a debut, it's bold, personal, and dripping with intention, the kind of film that signals the arrival of a serious new voice. The movie starts off by dropping us into the seductive, shadowy world of Moretti, a reclusive pop icon played with eerie control by John Malkovich. We meet Ariel, a sharp, persistent journalist played by Ayo Edebiri, who's determined to peel back the layers of this mythic figure. But what begins as an interview quickly spirals into something far more psychological, a mind game soaked in glamour, obsession, and control. The tension builds slowly, with every glance and silence speaking louder than the dialogue, and Green directs it like he's inviting you into a cult you didn't know you joined. At just 27, Ariel is sharp, ambitious, and deeply committed to her craft. A glimpse at her desk, where books like The Best American Magazine Writing are prominently displayed, makes it clear she's not just chasing a story, she's chasing excellence in journalism. As the story unfolds, Ariel learns about Alfred Moretti, a legendary pop icon who's been out of the spotlight for nearly 30 years. Now, he's resurfaced with his 18th album, Caesar's Request, and has invited 6 devoted fans to join him for an exclusive weekend retreat at his remote compound in Green River, Utah. After flying into Utah, Ariel and her editor, Stan, board Moretti's legendary tour bus, the Debutante. There, they joined 4 other hand-picked guests: Clara, a seasoned talk show host; Emily, a high-profile influencer; Bill, a sharp-tongued podcaster; and Bianca, a relentless paparazzi. Together, they set off on a meticulously timed journey, exactly 4 hours and 8 minutes to reach the compound. The strangely precise travel time caught my attention. Was it just logistics, or a subtle nod to a larger 48-hour rhythm for the retreat? Maybe I'm overthinking it. I'll let the commenters decide. When they arrive at the compound, the group is welcomed by 6 individuals known as levelists. Each levelist presents a unique tribal vase as a gift to one of the guests. From what I can tell, each vase appears to be distinct, personalized in design and symbolism. Ariel's vase, in particular, seems to hint at something deeper. As the story progresses, each guest is assigned a levelist to attend to their every need. However, these attendants function more like silent guards, something the guests remain unaware of. Whether through hidden cameras or the quiet presence of a levelist stationed outside their door, surveillance is constant. It quickly becomes clear they're not being treated like guests, but like prisoners in disguise. The next scene brings us into a peaceful massage setting, with Bill lying on the table, appearing completely relaxed. But beneath the calm, something shifts. It's barely noticeable, a flicker, a pause, but enough to suggest that all is not as it seems. This quiet moment marks the first crack in the facade, hinting at a deeper unraveling still to come. The next morning, Ariel goes for a jog and is quietly followed by her assigned levelist. As she explores the compound, she observes a community that appears peaceful and purpose-driven. Some residents teach children, others paint or perform daily tasks with calm focus. To Ariel, it initially seems like a place built on harmony and creativity. However, as she continues her tour, she begins to notice a hierarchy within the compound. One group, known as the Divers, appears to represent the first tier of spiritual development, practicing meditation and promoting the mantra, "All things are equal." But as Ariel digs deeper, it becomes clear, while balance is preached, inequality quietly governs the structure. The levelists are dressed in blue, a color often associated with balance, calm, and clarity. Within the film, this choice feels intentional, reflecting the themes of control and harmony woven throughout the characters' interactions. In many symbolic interpretations, blue represents not only balance but also duality, serenity on the surface masking something much deeper beneath. With the original 6 guests now down to 5, preparations begin for the highly anticipated listening party for Alfred Moretti's 18th album. As the scene shifts, we're shown a chilling image, 6 Annie-style dolls, each dressed to resemble the guests. It's an unsettling visual that hints at something ritualistic or possibly cult-like brewing beneath the surface. And from here, the story only gets darker. The 5 remaining guests are led into what appears to be a theater, though it closely resembles a barn, the floor covered in dirt, raw and unpolished. At the center is a minimalist stage, with Alfred Moretti positioned between 5 chairs arranged for the guests. As they take their seats, he begins to perform a track from his new album, captivating each guest with his hypnotic movements and commanding presence. One curious detail stands out. While the same song seems to be looping, the music player indicates a different track with each transition. It creates the impression that Moretti might be performing multiple songs simultaneously, or that the looping track is simply a thematic excerpt meant to echo the album's essence. Either way, something about the performance feels intentionally disorienting. As the guests watch, visibly entranced by the performance, Emily suddenly faints and is quickly escorted out. As the group begins to exit, Stan Ariel's editor pulls her aside and insists that the story will focus solely on the music, not the strange cult-like atmosphere surrounding them. But before he can finish making his point, he's abruptly struck in the shoulder by an arrow fired by one of the children living on the compound. The facade of peace officially begins to crack. The next day, Ariel quietly slips out of her room through a window, determined to find the phones that were confiscated on the first day. She stumbles upon a barn filled with unsettling items, jars of animal parts and the remains of dead creatures, possibly used for taxidermy. Among the clutter, she discovers the guests' phones, all painted over. This ties back to an earlier scene where two guards are seen monitoring surveillance feeds, one of which shows someone deliberately painting over the devices. It's likely a tactic to prevent anyone from reaching the outside world, even if a phone were found. As the camera pans across the dimly lit barn, we come upon a grim discovery: the lifeless body of Bill the guest from the massage scene, hidden on the ground, headless. The retreat has officially crossed the line from unsettling to deadly. Sensing that something is deeply wrong, Ariel decides it's time to leave the compound. But before she can make her escape, a young girl reminds her of the upcoming final performance, a puppet show, and gently persuades her to stay. Despite her instincts, Ariel hesitates, and the show goes on. As each guest enters the room, they're handed a yellow beanbag to sit on for the evening's performance, a puppet show titled The Tragedy of Billy. The show, eerily staged and emotionally charged, depicts the tragic life of jazz legend Billie Holiday, with a sharp focus on her harassment by the media, symbolized by grotesque rat puppets. Titled The Tragedy of Billy, the performance alludes to Holiday's turbulent journey through fame, discrimination, and addiction. Her story unfolds in 4 haunting movements: a difficult childhood, born to an unwed mother and raised in poverty, marked by institutionalization and instability; resistance through music, especially her powerful protest anthem, Strange Fruit, which drew the ire of both her record label and the federal government; ongoing battles with addiction, leading to multiple arrests and eventual incarceration; a painful decline, as her voice and health deteriorated under the weight of personal and systemic oppression, culminating in her death at just 44. In Opus, the puppet show becomes a chilling metaphor for the destructive nature of fame and the media's role in it. By portraying the press as rats, the performance underscores the predatory attention Holiday endured, drawing a direct parallel to the film's own themes of surveillance, exploitation, and the cost of being watched. As Ariel stands by the window, hoping to catch sight of the bus that could finally take her home, she notices something unsettling. Her yellow beanbag begins to move. Without warning, it splits open, and Emily the influencer, who had fallen ill during the concert, emerges in a terrifying state. Her eyes and tongue are grotesquely swollen, the result of a compound expanding violently within her body. Disoriented and frantic, Emily lashes out, triggering panic and chaos as the carefully curated illusion of safety collapses. Amid the unfolding chaos, Alfred Moretti calmly reveals the meaning behind his album title, Caesar's Request. He recounts the tale of Julius Caesar's kidnapping, how the pirates who captured him, mere commoners, dared to see themselves as his equals. For Moretti, the irony is unmistakable even in chains. True royalty remains above the rest. He connects this to the compound's guiding mantra: all things are equal, before delivering its unsettling truth, in theory perhaps. But in reality, equality is just a performance. As chaos erupts, the levelists begin executing Stan and Bianca as they attempt to flee. Clara lies frozen in shock. Seizing the moment, Ariel makes a run for it, diving through a window in a desperate bid for freedom. With no clear way out of the compound, she takes refuge in a place shrouded in mystery: the Rhinestone Chalet, Alfred Moretti's opulent and secretive childhood home. She frantically searches the house for a weapon or a phone to call for help, but finds nothing she can use. As she moves through the rooms, she stumbles upon a horrifying sight. Mounted on the wall is the severed head of Bill, the guest who earlier received the massage. The horror she suspected is now undeniable. Ariel is eventually captured and brought to a nighttime ritual, where she's tied to a chair at the center of the gathering along with Clara the talk show host. As Moretti addresses the group, he refers to the levelists as beautiful pearls, a metaphor that connects back to an earlier scene where a man is seen opening oysters in search of pearls for their necklaces. Moretti explains that becoming a diver is the first step in the transformation into a levelist, an initiation into their cult-like hierarchy disguised as enlightenment. Bound to a chair at the center of the ritual, Ariel suddenly hears a whisper. It's the stylist who dressed her for Moretti's listening party, quietly cutting the rope at her wrists and urging her to run. Without hesitation, Ariel breaks free, accidentally knocking over a fire pit stand in the process. Flames leap onto Moretti's billowing cape, igniting panic. Seizing the moment, Ariel leaps onto an ATV and races toward the front gate. a levelist pursues her, and as she scrambles over the fence, she catches her palm on the barbed wire, bleeding but determined to escape. In a final act of desperation, Ariel drives her finger into the throat of a deranged Moretti devotee, commandeers his car, and vanishes into the night. 2 years later, Ariel is a media phenomenon. Her best-selling memoir, Our Time in the Sand, has captivated the nation, a raw, haunting account of her time at the compound. She appears on talk shows, news segments, and podcasts, retelling the nightmare. During one televised interview, as Ariel recounts the story, we flash back to a chilling scene, Moretti, alone at a piano, playing a somber melody. Nearby, the bodies of the 5 guests lie still beneath blue sheets. The levelists are nowhere to be seen. Then, in the middle of the interview, Ariel's phone rings. It's Moretti's publicist. The message is simple and chilling. Alfred Moretti is finally ready to talk. Ariel agrees to meet with Moretti, who greets her by holding up a copy of her book. He begins to explain his philosophy that humanity has evolved, shifting from an age ruled by intellect to one led by creativity. He calls it the evolution of the right brain, where the most imaginative minds will shape the future and hold power. He tells her that her book was never the end, but the beginning of his story. The levelists, he explains, are not dead but spread across the world, still deeply connected. Their mission is to spread the message, guide the youth, and quietly reshape the future. Ariel's best-selling book has unknowingly fueled their movement, and Ariel comes to a chilling realization. She's become part of it. Later, as she is a guest on Good Day America, she notices something unsettling. The host is wearing a blue dress and a pearl necklace, distinct markers of the levelists. In that moment, it clicks. They're everywhere now, and there's nothing she can do to stop it.